Words from Srimad Bhagavatam. This verse is again from the 16th chapter. We discussed one verse last time, that is the 6th verse. So, this chapter is titled How Parikshit Received the Age of Kali. That is the chapter. So, as we discussed last time, there was Shanak Rishi's question that why the Kali was only punished and not chastised to death when it entered the place where Parikshit Maharaj was there. And then the verse last time we discussed that if that is something which is related to Krishna, so please tell to us. That's what Shanak Rishi says to the to Sutta Goswami, who is the person who is discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam, who is the personality who was discussing Srimad Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya. So then from verse number 10 to 17, Sutta Goswami describes the movements of Parikshit Maharaj as a conqueror. So in the 10th verse, when he hears unpleasant news that Kali has already entered, he decides to conquer all the directions so that Kali cannot do its effect as long as he is there. So he went on his well-decorated chariot, accompanied by troops, to conquer in all directions. Then, in verse number 12, it describes that Parikshit conquered all the directions. And verse number 13 to 15th, Parikshit went to all the places where Pandavas had their pastimes, and he remembered what all the things that Pandavas has to face, and also the instance of how Brahmastra was coming to him to kill him in the womb, and all those things were being reminded of to him when he went to those pastimes, to the places where Pandavas has those pastimes. Now this verse is actually telling about Krishna's affection towards the Pandavas, towards his devotees, and what different roles have been taken by Krishna to facilitate that. So as we know, Lord Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala, extremely merciful. So when he is conquered by his devotees, he wants to do whatever is required to please his devotees. And of those devotees, Pandavas are very unique in that sense, because he was always there. And when we read this verse, we'll know this in more detail, what roles have been played. So first I will recite this verse, and please recite after me, and then we would have volunteer recitations as we do. So let's recite. Sarathya Parshada Sevana Sakhya Dautya
सारथ्यपार्षदसेवनसख्यदौत्या
Virasananugamanastavana Pranaman
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवनः प्रणामान्
Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pragat Pranatim Cha Vishnu
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
Bhaktim Karoti Nrpatischaranarvinde.
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
Then again we'll recite. Sarathya Parshada Sevana Sakhya Dautya
सारथ्यपार्षदसेवनसख्यदौत्या
Virasananugamanastavana Pranaman
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवनः प्रणामान्
Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
Bhaktim Karoti Nrpatischaranarvinde.
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
One more time. सारथ्य पार्षद सेवन सख्य दौत्य
सारथ्य
सारथ्यपार्षदसेवनसख्यदौत्य
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवन प्रणामान्
वीरासनानुगमनः स्तवनः प्रमाण
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णो
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
And now please volunteer recitations.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please.
Go ahead, Mataji, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. सारथ्यपार्षदसेवनसख्यदौत्य
सारथ्य पार्षद सेवन सख्य दौत्य
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवन प्रणामान्
वीरासनानुगमनस्तव प्रणामान्
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णोर्
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I can
Hare
try.
Krishna Mataji.
सारथ्य पार्षद सेवन सख्य दौत्य
सारथ्य पार्षद
पार्षदसेवनं सख्यदौत्य
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवन प्रणामान्
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवन प्रणामान्
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत् प्रणतिं च विष्णोर्
स्निग्धेषु
पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
भक्तिं करोति नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे
भक्तिं
करोति
चरणारविन्दे.
चरणारविन्दे.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. One more recitation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can try.
Yeah.
Sarathya Parasad Sevana Sakya Dautya
सारथ्य पार्षद सेवन सख्य दौत्य
सख्यदौत्य
Veerasananugamaнаstavana Pranaman
वीरासनानुगमनस्तवन प्रणामान्
Snigdhe Supandu Sujagat Pranatircha Vishnu
स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
जगत्प्रणतिं च विष्णु
Bhaktim Karoti Nrupatischaranaravind
भक्तिं
करोति
करोति.
नृपतिश्चरणारविन्दे.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reciting, because this recitation is also very nectarian and also engages us in the service of the Lord. Thank you for doing that. So let's see this verse now. So Sarathya is Sarathi, which is a chariot driver. Parshada means he is the member of assembly. Like, for example, here in synonyms is written acceptance of presidency in the assembly of Rajasuya sacrifice. So he also accepted as a presidentship, and he was also a Parshad. He's one of the members of the assembly. When he is there, he means Lord Krishna. I'm talking about Lord Krishna. Then Sevana is to engage in service, engage the mind constantly in the service of the Lord. Now this Sevana is given in the context of Pandavas. Sakhya, to think Lord as friend. So first it is Sarathya Parshada is about Lord. Sevana, Sakhya is about the qualities of the devotees. Here in this case, Pandavas. Dautya. Now again coming back to Dautya is coming again to Krishna's role. Dautya means acceptance of the post of a messenger. So he accepted the post as a messenger. When he did that, you may know that that is the time when, you
He
remember?
showed he showed the Virat Rup to
Yeah,
Duryodhana.
exactly. So he went to Duryodhana to make the last peace, so that they should give like five villages to the five Pandavas, and they would be happy with that. But even Duryodhana did not agree for that. And then comes Virasana, acceptance of the post of a watchman with a drawn sword at night. So he has done in the Mahabharata war sometimes, um, doing that, taking guard of Pandavas, when, because that was duty of Krishna, Lord Krishna also, as Pandavas, of all five of them will do one day each, one night each, and so Krishna on his turn also does one night. So that's how there is a rotation happening. Then Anugamana, following in the footsteps, and following in the footsteps means Lord, because Yudhishthira Maharaj as well as Bhima are older to in age to Lord Krishna, so he'll follow their instructions. Stavana, offering prayers. Pranama, he would offer obeisances. Snigdeshu. Snigdeshu is a very beautiful word. It says that who is malleable to the will of the Lord. Malleable means it's like the property of a metal. Like when you press it, it becomes whatever shape you want to. You have to press very hard. And then also it can be saying that one who can mold into the shape that you want to. So they are malleable to the will of the Lord. Whatever Lord wants, Pandavas wanted to do that. So Pandushu is unto the sons of Pandu. Jagat, universal. Pranatim, one who is obeyed. Cha, and of Vishnu Bhaktim, of Vishnu's devotion, Karoti, does, Nripatihi the king, Charanarvinde, unto his lotus feet. So this Nripati is whom? Parikshit Maharaj. He is Bhaktim Karoti. In whose lotus feet? Lord Vishnu's lotus feet or Lord Krishna's lotus feet? Because he saw so much beautiful reciprocation of Lord Krishna with the Pandavas, as if he was one of them. But he was being a supreme personality of Godhead, playing these roles is something very, um, like I would say, on a very higher end of mercy to his devotees, I would say. So let's read the translation and then we can discuss more.
Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Because Maharaj Parikshit is now traveling to places where Pandavas did their pastimes. So he is listening about the glories of those places. So then all these things are reminded of him. So that's what it says. Now let's read the purport.
Lord Krishna is everything to the unalloyed devotees like the Pandavas. The Lord was for them the Supreme Lord, the spiritual master, the worshipable deity, the guide, the chariot driver, the friend, the servant, the messenger, and everything they could conceive of. And thus the Lord also reciprocated the feelings of the Pandavas. Maharaja Parikshit, as a pure devotee of the Lord, would appreciate the Lord's transcendental reciprocation of the feelings of his devotees, and thus he himself also was overwhelmed with the dealings of the Lord. Simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord with his pure devotees, one can attain salvation. The Lord's dealings with his devotees appear to be ordinary human dealings, but one who knows them in truth becomes at once eligible to go back home, back to Godhead. The Pandavas were so malleable to the will of the Lord that they could sacrifice any amount of energy for the service of the Lord, and by such unalloyed determination, they could secure the Lord's mercy in any shape they desired. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna,
Prabhu.
Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. So, as this verse is saying, as Srila Prabhupada is explaining in the purport, is Lord Krishna is everything to the unalloyed devotees who are like unalloyed means there is no alloy involved. It means everything unalloyed. Alloy means what? Mixture. There is mixture of two metals. Unalloyed means there is no mixture. This is totally Shuddha Bhakti. So those devotees which have no alloy in means totally unalloyed, they're totally devoted on the Lord. So here it mentions about the Pandavas. Lord was for them the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord also, because we have seen the interaction, we have seen as a spiritual master too. Arjuna in the Mahabharata, in the battle of Kurukshetra, worshipable deity, not only for Arjuna but for other Pandavas also when needed. The worshipable deity, the guide, the chariot driver, the friend, he was a friend of all the Pandavas. The servant means he would do whatever Yudhishthira Maharaj would say him as a service out of love. Then the messenger, he went as a messenger as we discussed, and everything they could conceive of. One thing very important here is the role of Maharaj Parikshit, which is here. So Maharaj Parikshit, a pure devotee of the Lord, could appreciate the Lord's transcendental reciprocation of feelings of his devotees. So for us, or we may not think in that lines, like maybe whatever Lord is doing, it looks like a human kind of dealings, but because Lord is transcendental, his dealings are also transcendental, and as a pure devotee of Lord, could actually fathom those kind of sweet pastimes, thinking about those are transcendental, those are full of love and full of devotion. So that things only like a devotee, like he says, pure devotee could appreciate that. We may read it, may understand it, but the true appreciation comes when the heart is totally drenched in those kind of in Lord's service. Then one can also understand it. So that's why that reciprocation is being understood well by Maharaj Parikshit, because he himself was also protected in the womb of Uttara, and he saw the form of the Lord protecting. So he was so much, like I would say, fortunate to see it. And that fortune doesn't come by itself. Because of his devotional activity, Lord came to protect. So it goes in both ways. So here it says, simply by appreciating the dealings of the Lord, his pure devotees, with Lord and his pure devotees, one can attain salvation just by knowing this, by appreciating this. Not only Lord, but his devotees, because Lord is controlled by his devotees by a medium of love, as we see here. So he says one can attain salvation. Prabhupada says the Lord's dealings with his devotees appear to be ordinary human dealings, but as we discussed that, it is so much so that one can hear about it and go back to Godhead. What to talk about Lord's behavior? It's talking about Lord's interaction with his devotees. Even hearing that also, one can go back to Godhead. The Pandavas were so malleable. Now, this particular term, snigdheshu, term is being defined here by Srila Prabhupada. Malleable, as I was mentioning, is molded into any shape you want to. So, like for example, you can um, think about a metal being done in different shapes, into wires, into thin plates. You can think about simple thing as making rotis. you can make whatever way you can with the wheat flour. So similarly, with Lord's will, the devotees are so much malleable, they can actually turn, they can see Lord's mercy in any shape they desire. Because Pandavas has to face so much difficulties in their life, but every time they appreciated Lord's mercy and Lord's presence in their lives. So that is the beauty of the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, and to know them, it's something very amazing. So here we understand, to summarize, that Maharaj Parikshit was so much overwhelmed by knowing the dealings of Lord Krishna with his devotees and how this reciprocation are transcendental. And so what we understand here is to hear about the glories of the devotees of the Lord who had very nice reciprocations with his devotees, and by hearing we can purify ourselves. So let's open it for the discussion and interaction or reflections.
Prabhu, I think the word malleable to the will of the Lord, that I think caught my attention in the discussion and in the translations. So just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Nitai Gudumani Prabhu, you stole my words. Just those are the words I wanted to say. You stole mine.
That is wonderful.
Okay, one word, a little different from what you said. Actually, it's the same thing. Snigdeshu, my point to take, Prabhu. The rest of it is all, yes, whatever Nitai Gudumani Prabhu said.
Okay, that is so amazing, Mataji. Thank you, thank you. Any other reflections or any other things that you would think that, okay, this is something which is very nice in this verse and it's close to my heart?
I think the other observation as part of this verse for me was, you can see the love from Krishna for his devotees by playing the different roles and doing whatever is necessary for his devotees.
Yeah, that is beautiful actually. Means it's the extreme mercy, I would say. So that's why we should, like, it gives us a kind of incentivizes that we should do our sadhana on a more what you say, serious basis to get that. Maybe we may not get that reciprocation, but I'm saying that that reciprocation will definitely come out as we progress. So this is kind of a incentivize. So when you see the goal, like people show that these are like 5-year goals or 10-year goals, and when you see and you want to reach there, so this is a kind of a incentive to do a devotional activity, to have this kind of dealing someday, whenever the Lord Krishna wishes.
Hey Krishna Prabhu, that is what I was thinking, that, okay, this is what we are doing. I mean, not right now, but this is the goal, to have the relationship with the Lord. He thinks about us and we think about him. And this is what is the process. This is what is the bhakti. This is what is the path we are following, I would say. We have started to walk on. Whenever he wishes, he'll give us the drops of it. But that's,
Yeah, that is wonderful. And even in one lecture I was hearing that whatever we are doing now, we have to do the same thing in the spiritual world if we ever happen to go there. So let's practice from here. This is the practicing time. Thank you, Mataji, for this nice one. So any other reflections, realizations?
One more thing, Prabhu. We see Lord Krishna, Lord himself, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doing so many kinds of services, including watchman, and then chariot, where Arjuna would, put his foot
Exactly.
on the shoulder of Lord Krishna. So such menial position, that's Supreme Personality of Godhead, literally doing service, being the best exemplary servant to his devotees. And sometimes you may think, is this only me always doing the service? Am I the only servant? But what is Lord Krishna doing? And even in Vrindavan too, Nanda Maharaj's chappal he would carry. And then, so any kind of what he is doing is service. And he is being the servant. So I am not the only servant. He is being the chief servant. So
Yeah.
yes, Prabhu, I
That
have to
is
see that aspect. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself is an epitome of service.
that is
Yeah.
true. And he's not only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's the Supreme Servant also. To say in that way, it's a Supreme Servant. And he shows an example of that so beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank you
feel
for the realization, Mataji. Yeah.
I feel, Prabhu and Mataji, that, in spite of not looking at him, uh, still he's being Paramatma again and again with us. He's also a service of the Lord towards
Definitely. Yeah. That's a nice realization. He is there with us all the time, just waiting for us to look towards him.
Yeah. In the holy name too, there is zero attention paid, but still he's sitting there. He's sitting there. He's been sitting there and will sit there for us to just, for us to look at him, acknowledge him. So, yes, Prabhu.
This is extreme mercy. He gives us so much concessions because he knows that we are not able to do certain things in a certain way, but he gives always concessions to us. But with those concessions, if in our way our heart can be transformed and changed towards himself, he also then helps us to pull more. So that's the beauty of him being there. So it's like the churning of like the bhakti going on within the heart of a devotee and the Lord. And Lord definitely is the object of bhakti, but churning going on in the heart of a devotee, I would say. But I think maybe Lord, it is maybe churning Lord's heart also by the devotion of the devotee. So yeah. Thank you. These are so nice, and it looks like some kind of churning is done and some makhan is coming out. Very nice. So, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, one droplet every day, Prabhu. A droplet makhan every day, every night.
Yeah, that is so amazing. Thank you for all of your association, and I really need your blessings so that definitely, um, like every one of us could uh, do a little bit of drop of seva or service in our heart and mind and could continue our sadhana on a daily basis. Thank you for the association so that we can churn some of the important topics about the Lord and purify ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you,
Srimad
Prabhu.
Bhagavatam